feel like there could have been some follow-up there. Welcome to Ranger Reviews, a web series we look at episodes of the TV show Power Rangers and then discuss them. Today we're exploring the third episode of the show Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, as well as the 341st episode overall, titled Trial by Fire. We begin this episode in the Aqua Base, where Kelsey is getting stuff together. Her and Dana are dorming together, and Kelsey talks about how she's kind of crazy. She loves rock climbing and how it's such a rush. The five are all together, actually, and Joel says that he wanted to fly so bad as a kid that he made some wings and jumped out of his second-story window. They ask Carter if he wanted to always be a fireman, and he says not until one night when... And we see a flashback of a house fire. He says, never mind, and the Rangers start to harass him about it. Then they get called to the training area, apparently, and they present arms to Captain Mitchell, who starts a timer. Go! Time for a training montage. Chad and Joel jump over a stone wall before army crawling under rope nets and then do tire drills, completing their task as Mitchell tells them good job. Kelsey has a baby doll rappelling quickly from a second story. Dina takes the baby with a med kit, doing baby CPR, and then she does the routine. They're done. Captain Mitchell says, not bad, and the girls high five. Meanwhile, Carter has gone paintballing, and he's doing the most, firing at alien cardboard cutouts. He then rushes out, and Mitchell is impressed, and Carter says that was his best time so far. Mitchell goes in investigating the training. He comes out waving Carter over. He tells him that he had the fastest time, but he actually ended up getting the lowest score. Mitchell says he needs to use his head before he uses a blaster, and Mitchell says despite hitting every single target, sometimes the obvious choice is the wrong choice. Then he just walks away. The demons are watching the last Megazord fight, talking about how they have to get the city again before Queen Benshira returns. And we see that Viper is somewhere else, saying that she's going to destroy the city from the ground up. Then things in the Aqua Base shake, and Mitchell somehow knows that this isn't an earthquake. How? The Rangers are called to alert status, so they get their stuff and head out in the truck. Meanwhile, Batlings are striking spikes into the ground, and Vipera is so bad. She says she'll destroy Mariner Bay with an earthquake. The Rangers show up, and she goes, if it isn't the Power Rangers. Like, Lord. The Rangers take on the Batlings, and this stunt crew is really doing wonders for this season's fight sequences. Oh, we're in an underground tunnel, by the way. Viper hops down, and she and Carter are fighting. Carter kicks the sword out of her hand, but then she punches him back before she can grab a spike and the sword together. She runs up some stairs, running into a parking garage full of people. She fires at them, and Carter flips into the scene. He takes on Viper again, who fires at him, but he somehow kicks away a laser. It breaks the wall, and he takes out his laser, pointing it at her. She then sees a gas canister as she's backed against a wall, so she makes a wall of fire between them and she teleports away. Now the foundation seems to be cracking, and Carter realizes that the people need his help. Mitchell comes over the comms, telling Carter to just put out the fire first. Carter refuses at first, but then he does, using his blaster to spray it out. Then the ceiling starts coming down, and Carter yells as it does, having crushed a little boy. Ha! Carter is destroyed, and Joel and Dana run in, taking care of the kid. Carter is instantly pissed, and he runs away, even though Joel and Kelsey tell him to wait. In the Aqua Base, Carter is pissed, coming into Mitchell's office screaming at him about how he was wrong. He should have gotten those people to safety first, and Mitchell says he did the right thing. Carter says, because I listened to you, that little boy got hurt. And then he leaves, and Mitchell ponders to himself. Just explain what's going on here. In the hospital, Carter has come to visit the little boy. Look at what you've done, Carter! He apologizes to the kid even though he seems to be asleep. He holds his hand, and Carter exposits to no one about how when he was a kid, his home was on fire. He couldn't breathe, and he was terrified. Then he was saved by another fireman, and then out of nowhere a beam fell from the ceiling onto the one guy, and then he actually let little Carter run away, getting saved. But then as the door closes, the fireman seemed to be taking off his helmet. Why? Carter says that someone like that should have rescued this boy. That's dark. Carter is back at the training place now, looking at the targets and whatnot. He then walks into an explosive gas can there, and he realizes something, running off. He's back at the parking garage from earlier, and there he finds the canister of gasoline. He then plays out in his mind how if he hadn't put out the fire, everything would have exploded, and pretty much everyone there would have been dead. Mitchell's now there, and Carter's like, oh, the training exercise. You knew about the canisters. Yeah, so why didn't he say something? Then, earthquake. Carter hears that he's needed, and he tells Mitchell he's not sure if he's cut out to be a ranger. And Mitchell tells him that he is and needs to go. Alright, I guess that's all we needed. Carter out. In another underground tunnel, the Rangers are fighting off Batlings as Viper blasts on them. She goes ahead another spike, but she's fired on by Carter. She then takes him on, but she actually freezes when he tells her to. Viper is like a bad villain. Carter then basically says, I don't have time for you, and he shoots at a spike in midair and it explodes. He then tells the others to destroy the spike, so they get them all piled up, firing at them and destroying them. Seriously, that was it? Lokai sees how Vipera may need some help, so he hands a card to Jinxer, who tosses it into a void, creating a monster via a spell. Carter goes out of the cave after Vipera as Lokai sees this nearby. So Jinxer is nearby, and he makes this non-existent monster grow giant. Who was this dude? The Rangers call it their rescue Zords, which luckily are just there in their rail rescues. They each get in, forming the Lightspeed Megazord for a while. Finally, they take on the giant monster, firing in the mountains near Mariner Bay, I guess. They punch him a few times, but the monster seems to tunnel underground, popping up behind them. It's okay though, because they just use their ladder arms to do a flip kick to its face. They use the Lightspeed Megazord Saber, and in a few fiery slashes, they have killed unnamed monster number 3. Later in the hospital room, Carter enters to find the kid is gone. Well, he died. Way to go, Carter. The boy's outside the room behind Carter, and Carter is happy to see that he's okay. He says when he grows up, he wants to be like Carter, who gives the kid a present. He then picks up the kid, which feels like he should have asked for permission to do first. Mitchell is there too. Why? Kind of creepy. Carter and the kid high five. The end. This episode is the weakest so far because the entire plot hinges on the fact that Mitchell is a terrible communicator. I mean, why didn't he just say from the start what the issue was? You didn't notice that there's explosives in there. Carter then in the field didn't notice it again, and then it really drives the issue home. He finally gets it, and then in the final battle with Vipera, he has to apply what he learned, changing it. Also, my god, Mitchell, stop stalking Carter. Like, why are you everywhere? Overall, inoffensive, but a bit sloppy in the writing compared to the other two. Although, I loved how we opened this episode with some small character moments about Kelsey, Joel, and Carter. We didn't get enough of that in Lost Galaxy, and it helps us actually know these guys a bit better. Next time, lesbianism. But until then, may the power protect you.